Yeah. It's always some nonsense, isn't it? Like fading in as the music fades out. I think it's quite nice.
Love it. It's nice. That's good technique.
There you go.
Probably have a bit of this.
Yeah, we've got it now. Future Sounds. Okay, good evening. Welcome to Future Sounds FM. This is episode 9. I am not Enzo. I'm Tom.
No.
And I'm joined by Rob.
Hey man, how you doing? Just us two. It's lonely in here, isn't it?
Just us two. We've been left behind as the others have all, they're all off on a jolly, work jolly.
A massive jolly.
They're at the Electronicon event in New York and we've been left behind to man the fort. What have you been up to?
Well, I think we were just saying, living vicariously through the boys. It's funny, I saw some videotape shared on Twitter saying, who can you spot in this? And it was at the tape swap. And I was really looking for Jay or Fateman or Enzo, but I couldn't quite see it in that clip.
Yeah.
But I think,
are we sure they were there?
Accounts, I think they're just making it up. They're probably in York, not New York. They're probably up north somewhere. No, I think they're having a great time.
Yeah.
And I think they've got over their jet lag now and are getting decent sleep and then just like pounding the streets.
Yeah, I was getting messages from them at kind of strange times, like strangely convenient times for me in the UK, which meant that they were up at ridiculous times, US time. Right? Yeah.
I guess Fateman doesn't sleep much anyway, and Enzo's got a new-ish baby or a toddler, so maybe they're just...
Fateman doesn't sleep because he's watched the entirety of Breaking Bad again in about sort of 2 days. I don't really know how that's possible.
I don't think it is like actually physically time and space related possible.
Maybe he watches it on double speed. Hours. I think he watches on maybe 1.5 speed.
He has 3 screens and he has an episode on each screen and he's just flicking between them like some sort of futurist. But no, yeah, good on him. I am tempted. I thought Better Call Saul, the finale was brilliant.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was amazing. I'm in the market for a new show. Actually, I don't know if anybody's listening to this and wants to recommend something. It needs to be as good as Better Call Saul. So no pressure.
I mean, high stakes. I've never seen The Sopranos. Have you?
Yeah, I have, and that's on the level. I mean, I need the show to be that good if I'm going to commit to it.
I saw some people raving about The Leftovers, but then I saw a trailer and it had a really dodgy American accent with Christopher Eccleston. I thought, I don't know if I can do that. But yeah, Succession up to date with. That's bloody brilliant.
Yeah,
as well.
I think I might watch that.
Nice, go for it. But here we are, the lonely twosome.
Yeah. Is there what you said you saw some videotapes from Electronicon? What in particular are you sort of feeling FOMO for? Are there any particular acts you're missing out on, or just the general vibe?
Well, I saw Fateman stick on Instagram that he just met Luxury Elite, and he was very happy about that. I think just the fact that like rubbing shoulders with these quite anonymous artists, and then meet them in the flesh and just having a good old chinwag with them, I really would love to have done of the likes that we've done at the UK gigs. But I'd love to see Lux live. I really would. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, in a more general sense, just kind of what you're describing, just that like the artists and fans seem to be very much on a level. Like it's kind of when we interviewed Luxury Elite, that's what I put to her, was that she's like, one of the most high profile artists in this genre, but it's also like one of the most high profile fans. And you could see that, you could see all the artists in the crowd and, they're all supporting each other and stuff. And all these kind of photos of, fans and artists in group photos and stuff, it looks like a really nice vibe. So, very jealous I'm not there. The boys are taking advantage of the fact that everyone's in town, so because it makes the filming for the Nobody Here project makes that a lot more realistic and feasible, doesn't it?
Yeah, although Enzo was saying you can really only realistically interview about 3 people a day.
Yeah.
So how long are they out there for?
I don't know, a week, I think.
Right, it's going to be tight. They're going to be working hard, those boys. Good luck to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think on the note of the film, like I've been sort of fighting fires a little bit on Twitter on their behalf, because there's a lot of sort of, there's a kind of a few people who have really taken against the film kind of preemptively and have decided that it's going to be quite happy clappy, that it's going to really focus on the sort of George Clanton and those under the 100% Electronica umbrella. Is going to kind of focus on them. As if that's all there is to vaporwave in 2022, and I just that's clearly not going to be the case. And I think they make these people they're just very angry at their keyboards about something that doesn't exist yet, and
haven't seen it. Yeah, don't preempt it.
A propaganda film isn't interesting.
No, and there was a little bit of kerfuffle I saw this week, not specifically about Nobody Here, but there was a purist, I can't even remember the name, I'm not even going to grace it anyway, there with the handle, but talking about how, real, like, Vaporwave is only Vaporwave is, so if, like, 6 people listen to it, and, it's mine, and I'm not sharing it, and I think they took a swipe at Donor Lens, man.
Well, I think Donor Lens is what started it, or this person's understanding of what Donor Lens was, because so before this multi-day meltdown ensued, this person had stumbled across the Donor Lens Vapor memory set, which was, like just something that me and Jay were kind of trying out, like kind of reverse engineering our productions, trying them out on real instruments and stuff, and just doing like a live performance rather than a DJ set or a laptop performance, and this person's come across it, and maybe, to be fair, right, if that's all they've heard and seen about us, that's what they think we do, and like a kind of live-ish band isn't Vaporwave by any kind of conventional sense. I could see why that annoyed them. I also don't really see why it matters, but they, I mean, that's
had a bad day.
Some of the things we do as Donor Lens is, not Vaporwave at all, and some of it like is very Vaporwave, but like, we don't really feel particularly constricted or forced to. When we're making music, we're not thinking like, oh God, is this Vaporwave enough? Blah blah blah.
Does
like
this fit into the parameters?
Yeah.
No. And I don't think you should creatively as an artist. And it does annoy me.
We've all got our our kind of strong opinions and stuff. To be fair, this guy, right? I'm gonna name him because I think what he has to say is quite interesting. It's just his way of communicating is very aggressive and a bit emotive. But the guy his handle is Triton, and I think he makes music and a podcast. Maybe we should collaborate. Called Slimewire.
Yeah. LimeWire.
But
well, let's not throw shade. Let's give it a listen and reach out, because it's one big happy family.
Podcast solidarity.
I'd rather put it.
I think this guy knows his shit, to be fair, and I think that is interesting. But like, it's really weird that, it's, in my opinion, getting very sort of defensive and building sort of walls around music that was kind of very experimental in its early form and kind of broke a bunch of rules and kind of. It broke so many rules that it became its own thing, and then this guy has kind of built a wall around it. It kind of, by building those walls, you're kind of really restricting, further trailblazers. You're kind of really restricting what they're able to do. Or this guy. I mean, those guys don't give a shit. Like, as I was saying, us as artists, we don't really sit around thinking like, is this gonna pass that guy's purity test? But like. Yeah. That guy is potentially like, I don't mean Donor Lens specifically, but he's potentially turning himself off some quite interesting music.
Yeah, quite. And just because it doesn't, I mean, like we were accused, Forever Synth, we were accused of gatekeeping to an extent. And I was gatekeeping to an extent. And to an extent, I try and sneak in a Donor Lens or, I don't know, Brother Tiger, I suppose, or even Yate onto the playlists. And that patently isn't Synthwave, quote unquote, but its roots are in something which is celebrating that 80s nostalgia, synth-based songwriting that harks back to a sense of nostalgia that spawned and born that whole piece. And I think that's right. Like, if music doesn't grow and innovate, then shoot me in the head. But that kind of brings me to your interview today, because Pizza Hotline, who is fantastic, and I've only discovered it through you dudes talking about him. I was so interested because I'm of an age, and I used to, I saw like Goldie at Glastonbury '95, and used to go to a lot of drum and bass clubs in the late '90s, and saw Jay Bookham and Groove Rider and Fabio and Doc Scott and Photech and stuff like this, and Pizza Hotline captures that kind of drum and bass, like liquid drum and bass, or drum bass, intelligent drum bass, or drum and bass, ambient, or all those silly terms that we used back in the day. That wasn't like just like jungle. Beautifully. He's so authentic in what he's created, and I can almost imagine an MC coming over the top like MC Conrad, and I loved it. So I was streaming it, a lot of it I bought it, and I was playing it all last night, and it was giving me memories, man. Loved it.
That's really cool. I guess
not his called Vaporwave.
Well, no, he's not claiming to, so I think he kind of dodges that accusation. But
dodges that bullet.
I think. I mean, he's slightly younger so he's not quite old enough to have experienced that music firsthand. You know, that music was being made in his infancy, wasn't it? So his kind of
because he was born in '93, I think he says.
Yeah. His frame of reference is kind of, you know, discovering this music retrospectively, and also the kind of slightly refracted version of it as presented in video games. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. Look, when you guys talk, not spoiler alert, about that type of music and the fact that he or you or people are discovering it through video games, I was like, wow, that was crazy. Because I actually discovered it through the genre and the artists and kind of hearing it in clubs and everything else. And I guess being 44 in a few days,
oh wow,
I guess I missed the video game piece.
Yeah. It's just it was an optimistic time, wasn't it? And I think like having these kind of futuristic, fast-paced beats, you know, it was like everything. There's just a sense that everything was moving forwards, right? Like there was kind of this unstoppable kind of march of progress. Like literally, right? 97, things can only get better, right? Like the time and history and technology and society, like everything's progressing in a straight line. And actually, like young people today really don't have that conviction anymore.
No, and not to get downbeat on it, but the world's in a bit of a funny state right now. And you know, I fear for our kids and everything else about how we've left the planet for them. But you're absolutely right. Like I was in my second year of uni in '97. And I felt an extraordinary sense of optimism, and everything culturally, you know, musically, politically, everything was going in a direction that was kind of like, this is improvement, and you can do this, and this is the groundswell, and the future's bright, and like literally and figuratively. And so, little did I know, my best years, some of my best years, was in that period.
Yeah,
amazing. So big up Pizza Hotline for capturing some of that.
Yeah. We've lost this kind of sense of optimism, and maybe we've gained a sense of realism that, like, you know, things don't always get better. There's like much more, you know, I mentioned it in the interview, it's what Simon Reynolds calls retromania, which is the, you know, popular music kind of eating its own tail a little bit, like going back over things. It's not a new thing, but like it's happening a lot. And I think young people who listen to, you know, this retro music, you know, vaporwave, synthwave, even including this kind of Pizza Hotline stuff, they're kind of getting a taste of that sort of futuristic optimism, you know. And you kind of, I think, like literally the sound of this intelligent drum and bass, this ambient jungle stuff, it sounds so optimistic and fast paced, and you know, everything's kind of warping by. It sounds so futuristic, it sounds so positive, so propulsive.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like it was such a sense of almost a sense of melancholy and loss when I was listening to it, because I remember the times as it was. But it does give me optimism and hope that music like that is being made and instilling and evoking those feelings in young people today. Because if we don't have that, you know, we're all a bit buggered. But powerful music is power.
Yeah, I mean, on a functional level as well, like this kind of music serves, it's like brilliant for dancing because it's so fast paced and you can just kind of let loose, and it's brilliant for soundtracking sports and racing video games. It really gives you that sense of speed and stuff, like when perhaps the technology wasn't quite, you know, up there to really like convey this sense of realism. You still had to kind of inject your own imagination. You know, you're looking at, you know, you're playing PlayStation 1 and you're looking at a quite pixelated car on Gran Turismo and stuff. But like, I think that that really, you know, the rapid music is really kind of helping give that sense of speed and rush, and you know,
that's true. I didn't think of it like that.
You know, if you're putting yourself in the mind of a child or a teenager in the 90s or early noughties playing those kind of games, like you can just imagine how exhilarating it would have been.
Yeah. It takes you beyond the modest graphics elements that there were in the media this week. I think that there must be an anniversary where they were talking about GoldenEye, or whatever. And I remember Andy last at Beyond Synth talking a lot about GoldenEye being his favourite game, and how they just innovated and broke the rules and turned it into this multiplayer beast. Yeah. And they weren't trying to be, you know, breaking any boundaries in particular, and they were trying to cut their teeth on the game, and then just took off and became this absolute, you know, mark in the sand. And I love that sense of, you know, teams coming together and just like going for it and creating something which then...
It's so cool. It kind of plays very fast and loose with the fact that it's a sort of franchise James Bond game, right? Like it's really barely got anything to do with it. Yeah. And like even with the music in the N64 GoldenEye, like it's a lot of the famous tunes. There's like I think it's the menu theme. It's basically got like a kind of trap beat, and it is the James Bond theme, but it's almost unrecognizable, and it's presented in this like really icy, grimy kind of trap drill style beat. Is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It sounds like it could be like a Wiley instrumental or something. It is unbelievable.
That's great. And at that time as well.
Yeah. You see people on TikTok now, like there's like a little tiny subgenre of actually quite young kids, like Gen Z kids, and they do stuff like they're pretending to be like the head of Nintendo or whatever, and saying like, oh, you know, composer guy, we need like a nice bit of music for this new like GoldenEye game. Like it doesn't have to go too hard. Don't worry about it. And then it like they cut to like being musicians, like playing in the theme and stuff, and they're just like absolutely vibing to this banger.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. That it's just inspired a whole new generation.
But I think that's the Pizza Hotline thing, right? Like taking almost like you're taking game music, the gaming away from the game music, and it's like actually this music even on its own was absolutely brilliant, but you might not have been paying too much attention to it at the time because you were absorbed in the game side of things.
And I think a lot of people are doing that now with Synthwave. I've seen like people like Occam's Laser sort of signing off any rights to pay him or whatever, just use my music for background or for YouTubing or Twitching with playing games with him in the background and stuff like that. And I mean, people may be not paying attention, but again, like you said, the momentum and the power and the energy of those tracks. And if people discover a bit of dark synth or cyber synth or cyberwave, like whilst they're playing these games and watching people playing these games, which I believe a lot of kids do these days, then that's great and exhilarating. Yeah,
it's really immersive, isn't it? It's as old as anything. It's as old as opera or theatre. Like music and visuals combined. You know, it's powerful, isn't it?
FutureSounds. Was it the front cover of? Was it Edge?
Yeah, the DJ Shadow thing.
Yeah, and then you can see people just like digging in the crates on the front cover of that album, and it's just like I found a break. Missed that, love that, but actually it's probably happening right now. Yeah, probably in vaporwave.
Yeah, well, it does, and it happens, samples. And you know, digging through YouTube or sort of hacking the algorithm. I think we did an episode with Melanade ages ago, and he was kind of talking about how he kind of manipulates the algorithm to sort of chuck up really interesting kind of finds his way. You know, that's digging through the crates, but it's, you know, clicking through the thumbnails, I guess. You know.
Yeah, very different. It's not as tactile, but
So I was talking of record digging. There's a very famous picture of Björk digging through the crates. Really iconic photo. It's just kind of lodged in my brain. But I saw you're quite excited about this new Björk album that's just been announced, right?
Yeah, I can't remember how it was explained. You'll have to remind me of the tweet, but I'm totally sort of here for it. It said it was like sort of industrial this and like...
Yeah, so my understanding is that it's... she's got like a bass clarinet sextet as her band and an Indonesian gabba duo.
That's it, yeah.
And... so like the more serious side of it, I think, is kind of family based, and she's got her son and her daughter singing with her, and I think a lot of the songs are for her mother who died. But I've also seen interviews with her where she's like, oh, the rest of it just like sounds like you're walking in nature, and then like one of your mates does a big fart. Like, so, it sounds really promising. I absolutely adore Björk, but her most recent projects I've enjoyed, but like. Maybe because I'm older and jaded and I don't have that like emotional attachment to music that I had when I was a teenager and discovering Björk's music for the first time. But the last few records haven't like completely sort of got me, you know, in the way that something like Vespertine or Debut did, you know, back in the day.
No, absolutely.
They're quite heavy going, aren't they?
They are, and you have to be in a certain mood to listen to it, and maybe a certain pretension. I don't know.
Well, she's been going through shit in her life. I think that's more where it is, and she's been reflecting that.
And I think that's right. Artists need to reflect where they are. I remember being disappointed at some of PJ Harvey's latest stuff, It's like, oh, it doesn't sound like Dry,
Yeah.
or it doesn't sound like, and it's like, well, who cares? Like, she's making the music she wants to, that's that's reflective of where she is and her state of mind and the way she's living right now. And it's not for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Stop being grumpy.
But you're like that guy, Slimewire.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like I want PJ Harvey to sound when she was wearing a pink cat suit at Glastonbury.
Yeah, you can't. You can't force artists to do that over and over again. Like some great artists do repeat themselves over and over again, and that's fine. But a lot of artists, move about, and that's also fine. When you're a teenager, you're so impressionable. Your brain is kind of hardwired to have that emotional reaction because you're discovering things for yourself, right? Like it's not. You're more influenced by your friends, less influenced by your family. Your family's tastes don't impact on you so much. Your friends' tastes do. You're getting more of a sense of kind of yourself as an individual and stuff. And the discoveries you make independently like really hit home. And I think that's what Pizza Hotline was saying in his interview. Is like during the lockdown, he was a bit kind of dissatisfied with his like main music gig, the sort of minimal techno, dub techno stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
And just something motivated him to go back over the video games of his youth. I think he said that he was just playing those games, and maybe in the process of playing them became, something, a light bulb went off in his head and it's like, oh, I want to revisit these sounds because, they're doing something for me. They're probably going to do, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like they're doing something for me. They're probably going to do something for other people, who had a similar experience to me. And, he's right because his albums had 500,000 streams on the 4am Breaks YouTube channel. So, there's an audience for it.
No, absolutely. And I saw again, like, Full Circle, Sega magazine or whatever, did a feature on him. And I think the Sega offices were saying, we were streaming this album when we were pulling an all-nighter. So, like, the video games that inspired him, he's now inspiring with his video game evocative music. I like that.
Yeah,
I like stuff like that comes around.
Yeah.
So great chat, man. But we've probably talked too much. We certainly haven't exhausted the topic. But should we dig in? This is Tom's interview with Pizza Hotline.
Yeah, I'm here in my home studio with Pizza Hotline. Good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. You're my first in-person guest for the Future Sounds podcast. It's very, very exciting. Hopefully the first of many. I want to kick things off with a question, which is, where were you in 92?
In 92?
Yeah.
I didn't exist.
Oh, man.
I was a twinkle in my daddy's eye. In 93, however, I was born.
And then you started making up for lost time.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. Good album.
See, well, the Zombie record.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, amazing.
So we talk about that a bunch on the podcast because really seems to kind of be the sort of the first statement of this kind of vapor rave thing. In as much, this is a kind of retconned term that Enzo from NPF has made up, but this kind of nostalgic rave sound.
Yeah.
Zombie was doing it sort of 10 years before any of us were.
Yeah.
So yeah, big up Zombie.
Yeah, big up. And it's a record that like I've listened to, but I don't know as intimately as I'd love to. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, I'm definitely going to go home and give it a serious listen. But didn't it come back out on Dream Catalogue? Or did some...
Yeah, I think they did a cassette run of it, which I don't know how they managed to kind of get that sort of licensing. I think it's a bit of a naughty record anyway, because it's littered with naughty samples. It's got sort of Aaliyah samples, that float sample.
Well, I know loads about
Rock the Boat. Naughty samples.
Well, just, I don't know, like my album, I sampled a few bits and bobs.
But it was all original. We're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Get out of my house.
Sorry, I'm going to have to leave now.
Oh, man, that's illegal. Yeah, that record, if you don't know it, Where Were You in 92 by Zombie, fascinating record. And yeah, it did come back on Dream Catalogue with a cassette release. And I think HKE from Dream Catalogue seems to be tight with Zombie, like Zombie gave him a leg up earlier in his career. And they have a lot in common, kind of spiky characters with kind of interesting ideas and kind of... in this very sort of UK music mold, like Burial, this kind of refracted rave sounds, and it's a really fascinating thing. And I think it's relevant to what you do. This kind of Burial sound, this Zombie sound, like club music that's been transplanted out to the club. I don't know if that's fair to say.
Yeah, I that's a better way to describe it than I always just say loungy. But like, I think, club music that's been transplanted out of the club is a really good way to put it.
Yeah, that's the pretentious way to put it. Yeah, I've actually seen you use a better adjective, which is fruity.
Fruity. Where did I see? Yeah, is that on my?
I've seen it on your Spotify bio. Yeah, fruity. I really like it because I think the Pizza Hotline project, it's referential and nostalgic, and it's got a playfulness, literally playfulness. The kind of PlayStation, this gaming idea, this kind of mucking around with sounds, and I think fruity's like a good way to describe it.
Yeah, actually, it's never really occurred to me, but maybe this is a bit more relevant. Maybe this was subliminal when I said my music was fruity. I've always been obsessed with the sound design of video games, and that's kind of one of the main inspirations, like the sound design specifically, not the music. And that's been one of the main inspirations for like my Pizza Hotline music. But one of my favorite sounds ever is the sound that when Crash Bandicoot collects a Wampa fruit. Okay, it's like a little kind of, and that is a really fruity sound to me. And I might actually do something with that.
Can you send that to me, and I'm going to litter this episode with it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm going to go nuts on the soundboard with it.
When we start swearing over and over, you can beat my
this
swearing.
This is a family-friendly vaporwave, synthwave, and vaporwave podcast.
You can beep it out. Yeah,
that's cool. So I think we kind of established where you were in '92, which is nowhere, or you're in minus years. What is the origin story of Pizza Hotline? Like, what's the source of the name? Why do you do what you do? And what do you do?
What do I do? I've been making music for a long time, electronic music under a different alias, which I won't go into too much. But
I think you should.
Yeah,
if you want to.
Oh yeah, whatever. Yeah. My previous alias is called El Choop, EL space CHOOP, and I make very serious sounding, like deep bedroom techno or dub techno. It's not like some of the stuff's quite dance floory, but I'd say 75% of my back catalogue is very more like just kind of like dub music,
dance floor at a weird time.
Yes, yeah,
11 o'clock on the Sunday morning,
Three people on the dance floor. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's very, and I'm not a very serious guy, but like for some reason I used to make really, and I still do sometimes make serious techno music, and I did that for a long time, and it's kind of great, and I'll still contribute towards it. But then I started Pizza Hotline in parallel with it, and I actually started it because I did get really obsessed with vaporwave, and I started making vaporwave just for me, just to muck around and just to have fun. Because the thing I really liked about vaporwave when I first found it was that I was in a time when I was in university, and when you're in academia and you take yourself so seriously with all the theory and stuff, and you're like, I'm changing the world with my mind and all this kind of stuff. And I got really deep into technical music production, like obsessively, like how distortion works at like a kind of like harmonic level and all this kind of crazy stuff. I did my dissertation on like repetition in music and like how it changes your mind, how it affects your mind and why it's there and why we enjoy it. That was a load of fun. And and the thing I liked about vaporwave was that it was the complete opposite of everything I'd learned or been taught to do. It's like, like you're always taught, come up with your own ideas, or we were taught to sample, but vaporwave is a bit of a kind of refreshing thing in terms of production, because it was a bit like, well, that music that you used to spend like weeks and weeks making. It's like, oh, here's one that you can spend minutes and minutes making. Yeah. And I loved that. It was really
probably better than the stuff you were laboring over as well, because it's like immediate, and the artists is just their ideas are like coming out like raw.
Yeah. And there's something about that I loved, and there's something about that I find hilarious, but at the same time really enjoyable. And it got rid of all that seriousness around music that was kind of blocking me a bit, maybe. Yeah. And so I only made one vaporwave EP, and I put it up on my own label that I called Around the Water Cooler, and it's like a very corporate themed label. I was obsessed with this, like, I had my own fictional high-rise building that was called Generic High Rise Incorporated, and that was where it was run from, but it was just my bedroom when I was in uni and stuff. Anyway, and that was like my first Pizza Hotline thing, and maybe that was like, I don't know, 2018? Yeah. I made the EP on a bed in a hotel in Thailand in like one evening, the whole thing. And it was from things that I'd recorded around Australia when I was traveling, because I moved to Australia for a bit. And I just put it up on the internet, and it didn't really didn't get many hits or anything. And then every now and again I would when I say every now and again, I mean every year or every couple of years, I'd have a bit of an idea that didn't fit into my very serious techno stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of fit into it didn't fit into it. And then Pizza Hotline just became a space for me to like, to create anything that wasn't this serious techno music I was making. And there was not really any rhyme or reason. I made the Vaporwave EP, then I made like I'm not sure if you heard it, it's called Pressing Business.
Is that the one on Seiko Mart?
Yeah, no, Pressing Business came out on City Man Productions.
Oh, okay.
And that was the first album I made. Yeah. And it's basically like, you know that Larry Heard house music sound, Mr. Fingers?
Yep.
I became obsessed with that specific bonky FM bassline sound.
Yeah, DX100. I've got one of those.
Oh, is that on the DX100?
Yeah,
is it an FM sound?
It's called, that bass sound is called the Lately bass.
Yeah, you're right, it is.
It's
amazing.
Patch 2, it's called Solid Bass.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Have you got
Let's nerd out.
Is it working? Have you got it going?
Yeah, it's upstairs. It's
cool.
in my baby's room.
One day we got to get it out.
That's what he uses. Yeah, Lately Bass. It's a classic sound.
So that sound just blew has always blown my mind. I remember, I think that was the first house music record I ever heard, and it was on I think it was on Radio 4, and they were doing a documentary about electronic music in Chicago, and they played 30 seconds of it when I was maybe 14, and I didn't know what it was called, and it took me about 5 years to hear it. I didn't look for it actively, it just popped up again.
Yeah.
And I think that was the record, like most people, completely changed my life and completely changed how I look at music and what it is to me. So I made an album basically molded around that entire sound, but what I was doing was making house music around 125 BPM, recording it to cassette and completely blasting it, like really distorting it, pitching it down to like 80 BPM. So it was this like, you know when you pitch stuff down on tape, have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you have. It makes this nasty, sludgy, distorted like...
Yeah.
And then sometimes what I do with the tunes, I record them back in, then record them back to tape and pitch them down again, or pitch them up and get all these weird things. Yeah. And the whole album is based around this sound. It's like 80 BPM, sludgy Chicago house. And I made that. That was an album I made. And then I made an album when I got obsessed with dream punk.
Yeah.
So I made a dream punk album that's called, it's a bit of a silly one, it's called Delivery Boy 2099.
That's what I was listening to.
Okay, cool, yeah. And that's a lot of the same technique. All the tunes are made a lot faster and slowed down on tape to give it that really unique distortion sound that you can't really get with plugins. So I did a lot of that on that album, and I really like that record, actually. Like, I'm going to release that again on my own label. And then maybe 2.5 years go by, and the pandemic hits, and then I wasn't making music at all. I was really, really sick of it. Just, I don't know, nothing was doing anything for me. I was in one of those weird times. And I became really obsessed with old video games. Again, I've always been obsessed with video games my entire life, but this time was very particular. Like
video games of your youth.
Exactly. Yeah, re-experiencing my youth. And you know, it's like going back, what I was doing was going back and learning things that previously had just flown over my head with games.
Yeah.
Maybe the sound design, because now I possess more technical knowledge and I can understand that stuff. When I was a kid, I was just like, oh, you know, little sounds. But, you know, when you go back and watch The Simpsons again, there's loads of jokes that you never, you know, it's the same thing. And I was listening, basically what I was doing was I accidentally discovered that in lots of these old video games I was playing, so I think this is the 6th or 5th generation of consoles, they call it. So that's N64, it's not the 6th generation. Anyway, it's the kind of N64, PS1, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, PS2 style consoles. I think they span different...
My era as well, yeah.
Yeah, similar ages. And hidden in the soundtracks of these... sorry, I keep saying hidden in these soundtracks is
I've got a plug-in for that.
Hidden in these soundtracks is a lot of amazing drum and bass and jungle, or just breakbeat style music. Some of it's quite innocent early drum and bass that doesn't really know where it is, and I was
especially the N64 stuff on the snowboarding games and stuff, 1080
snowboarding games, racing games. The best one is Bomberman Hero for the N64. That is like such a good record. Every track in it is a solid... That
comes up on all those mixes, on all those video game jungle mixes.
So I was listening to that and I was digging, and I was trying to find tunes that maybe weren't on YouTube, and there's quite a lot. And like a lot of it's quite like not very well mixed and like really basic, like you can hear it's like early DAW computer music. So what really basic.
They were limited with what they could reproduce on the consoles as well with the sound chips.
Totally.
Especially on the N64 era consoles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And also like they did use the sound chips, and then but I guess the disc-based media they could have Redbook audio or just like WAVs and MP3 and stuff. So they could like do more interesting music rather than the previous kind of chip tunes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just became obsessed with digging for it. And it refreshed my love for electronic music, and it just refreshed my love for music in general. And I just spent maybe like a year and a half or a year listening to this music, just constantly, nothing else. And I didn't even talk to anyone about it. I was just listening to it, and like, it wasn't all just jungle and drum and bass, just anything that I found cool.
Yeah.
And it was the only thing that was really doing it for me. And I just find myself making it, and without even thinking about it. And I was just making what I was hearing. And I was just kind of, I started making, I guess you'd call it liquid drum and bass, but it's kind of 90s themed, a bit melodic, a bit playful, a bit video game themed, lots of video game samples in there, a bit of an homage to a bit of a pastiche of video game sonics. And that's how it became. And the name is the name of a takeaway in Herne Hill in South London.
And not a very good one, I hear.
And not a very good one. It's really bad. But
does it sell things, not pizza? Can you get chicken wings?
You can. I think it's one of those places that just does it all.
Yeah.
It's a middleman between the freezer centre and you. It's just, there's nothing good about it. But they sell chicken wings, they sell stuff, but they sell pizza. And the sign is amazing. Like, if you want to see it, you can just Google Pizza Hotline South London. But on my Instagram, I managed to get a really good shot of it at night time. Yeah. It's a bit like your midnight store. Really similar kind of vibe, kind of like not corporate, capitalist kind of, and that's where the name came from. And I was
Late Night Delights.
Exactly, it's just like that. So and I was walking past it one night, and I just thought, that is such a funny name. And I used to buy the pizza from there when I was really drunk. Yeah. And I'd come home, and my girlfriend would be like, "Why have you bought Pizza Hotline pizza again? It's the worst pizza ever." And when you're drunk, you just have no cognition, really. So, and it was always a bit of a meme in my house that I'd end up with it and I would regret it.
That's funny. I mean, if this wasn't going to turn into even more of a love-in, but we're finding we've got an awful lot in common. So yeah, you've got your record named after a sort of late night establishment. We've got our Midnight Store record, so the Donor Lens album Midnight Store, named after a late night establishment. You said you made a record of samples that you found in Thailand. That record there, Miracle Lounge, the first one with the Thai writing on it.
Oh, yeah. This is super cool.
Yeah, no, it's also super weird. I think we might have sort of split our personalities. We might be the Parent Trap. Are we brothers?
Yeah, we've just had babies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even joking. We've just had children that are the same age.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we're going to have a parenting section of this podcast, shall we?
Yeah.
Any tips for new dads out there?
10 tips for new dads. How to change nappies without getting leaks.
Yeah, just leave it a moment. I think you can just leave him there. Give him a second to finish his business.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, not a parent. This podcast often derails into dad chat because a lot of the other guys who present on this show are parents, and gets derailed into football chat as well, which I think nobody wants to hear. There are enough football podcasts.
There are enough.
I like my football, but
yeah.
But we'll stay away from that, especially because you live in North London, so it could be risky. You might support the other team. So yeah, we won't go there.
Yeah. Okay.
The other thing, actually, my final thing on that we've got too much in common. I'm sorry if this is absolutely sickening to listen to.
Let's go for it.
I had the most 90s childhood. So my dad worked for a video games company called Acclaim, who are one of the big ones.
Your dad worked for Acclaim?
Yeah. So I had the most 90s childhood.
What did he do?
So he had a boring job. He worked in finance, but so he was just doing accounts for them.
Yeah.
Not too successfully because they went bankrupt.
Single-handedly by your dad? Let's hope not.
His embezzling. That's what paid for the studio.
Yeah. Why? That's so cool.
I remember, just being a kid in this era, there's the kind of era. I mean, I remember sort of, it was Mega Drive, not Genesis in the UK, wasn't it?
It was.
Genesis was
my first console.
So I remember that era, and I remember sort of having OG Game Boys and stuff, but really my formative years were with N64 and PlayStation 1 and 2. Yeah. And the Dreamcast, actually, I fucking loved the Dreamcast.
Did you have one?
Yeah, playing Sonic Adventure and stuff on the Dreamcast. It just felt like the future.
There was a lot of Acclaim stuff on the N64, I seem to remember, specifically, right?
So they licensed loads of sports titles and racing titles, and things like Zero G, correction, I meant Extreme G Racing and F-Zero, which was like a sort of Wipeout style kind of like fast racing game. Loads of drum and bass on that. Yeah,
those sci-fi racing games are the best for fun.
Top tip for the sample diggers.
If you want to dig for sick, like really forward-thinking for the time drum and bass, look, or just breaks, like look in those like, and there's a load out there that you might not have heard of as well. Like there's copies of Wipeout,
they made a title called Burnout, which was like a car crash game.
It's nice, super successful, right?
Yeah. Lots of cool music in that. Like, again, like not always drum and bass, but like sometimes just kind of aggressive break sounds at different tempos, or like balls out techno kind of sounds.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of trancey, really acid trance, because I guess like this was a really interesting time in music and video games, because video games like the PS1 era were the developers and the developers of the consoles and the games were trying to make their games seem appealing to older audiences, because they had more disposable income and they wanted to tap into that market, because previously it was just like younger kids.
Especially Sony versus Nintendo is a big distinction, right? They marketed them themselves at like a pre and post clubbing audience.
And that's
that was
why
an activity, like a sesh.
There was this spill of like interesting electronic music into these games. I think that must have been why they wanted to make their game sound edgy.
You get pumped up before you go to the club, or you wind down afterwards. Like, I think it was the same time, like this kind of intersection between club culture and outside club cultures, like that chill out music was so kind of prevalent as well. You think about sort of Air and Morchiba and like all those kind of big acts, Groove Armada and stuff like that. And it's like a KLF, all that kind of stuff. Even Aphex Twin Selected Ambient Works.
Of
like
course.
These kind of post club kind of sesh sounds. So I think in your music I hear a lot, and in these games in the first time round, you hear club sounds in a non-club setting, you know, coming out of your little TV set. And for maybe for people who are too young to kind of experience clubbing, so there's obviously something gets kind of distorted and refracted in that experience, right? You're not listening to this music on like fucking massive PA speakers. I just think that's an interesting thing. Like this kind of, and I think there's something about this drum and bass music which actually translates quite well. Like maybe the bass doesn't translate very well, but the drums fucking do. Same with ringtones, polyphonic ringtones.
Oh, that's an untapped. Well, maybe it's tapped, but like
there's a lot of jungle in the old ringtones.
Your Witch to LimeWire, I don't know, that could be a really good.
We joke about ringtone bangers, Bluetooth bangers, we call them, like the kind of niche bassline kind of sounds, like a well overdue a comeback. That kind of Sheffield, Nottingham speed garage sound.
Oh, of course, niche, niche music. Yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, I just remember having the most awfully low res tunes on my phone, because like obviously the lower the res, the more you could store on them. And like it would take like half an hour to send a track to your mate on the bus. You'd be like, oh, send me that.
Did you have to physically make contact? You kind of have to bumper to bumper your phones.
That was infrared.
Okay.
And that you couldn't move them. Like I remember doing that. You could send pictures. You could send you could just,
naughty pictures.
Of course.
Pixels.
Pepperoni with pineapple, very naughty. And just loads of GIFs and stuff like that. So such an interesting stage in the history of technology.
Like really early memes as well, right? You think how kind of fast memes travel now, and think how slow memes traveled, 15, 20 years ago.
So cool.
It's kind of hilarious. I think like any Gen Z kids listening to this, they must be amused. And These
like
two dads chat.
People our age are really trying to really re-experiencing that. With fresh, as I said earlier, with fresh ears and fresh minds, and going, wow, that's so interesting what we did.
I think that's because it's bizarre,
super bizarre, and we live in a world now, like in the internet age, which seems, I mean, I'm sure anyone would say this at the time they're existing, but it seems like it's been the same for a longer time, as in the last 10 years seem a lot more homogenized than the last 20 years apart. What's the difference between an iPhone 13 and an iPhone 10? It's exactly what I mean. Like back then, it just seems like rapid, completely different, And
anyway. The tech was more fun as well. I know it sounds like boomer chat, but like you like every generation of kind of phones or whatever would look completely different. They'd be freaking nuts. You flip phones and you get what the kind of gaming ones, what they're called, the Engage. That's an idea for an album. Engage music, or release on a format.
Motorola, that'd be funny. Motorola Pebble, Motorola Razr, everything was so stylish in the noughties. It was super stylish and like edgy, and everyone was trying to make things look sharp and like really different and not super minimalist. It was a bit more maximalist and a lot of colours and stuff. But it was a great time. Great time.
I've got a bit of a theory that maybe extends to that kind of sort of design type thing. I like everything kind of up until sort of Apple took over, which is that like a lot of the music that we're talking about, like be it drum and bass in a club context or drum and bass in the kind of gaming or even the ringtone context, a lot of this music is being made by British composers or Japanese composers and not American composers. And it's almost like this time was like a brief escape from the kind of dominance of like American monoculture. Like you just, you see a credit in a movie or game listing and you just kind of assume that they're American, but like there seemed to be a time when like Japanese and British composers or artists were really at the forefront and at the vanguard, and it was actually the American artists who were playing catch up. Like I saw an interview with Chad Hugo from the Neptunes where he's talking about hearing drum and bass for the first time, showing it to Pharrell. And Pharrell was like, "What's this video game shit? Like, we can't play this in our sets because like nobody will know how to dance to it." And Chad Hugo was like, "No, trust."
When was that? Like,
so the interviews in Pitchfork recently, they do this thing where they interview artists that like they talk about what they were listening to at various ages, like 5, 10, 15, whatever. And I think this was when he was in his 20s maybe, and I think he'd been in the UK and discovered some stuff. Same with the Roots, actually. Questlove, the drummer in the Roots, they were based in London for a bit, and they were going nuts over these jungle sounds, and they started sneaking it into their kind of hip-hop tunes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's such a popular thing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Japanese producers, like, do you know Soichi Terada?
Yep.
Yeah. He's like my hero. And,
that's it, my secret weapons in DJ sets always.
Ape Escape.
No, what's the called the days of the week one?
Monday,
Tuesday, Wednesday,
it's from the
Thursday,
album Sounds from the Far East.
Yeah,
that is just a stunning. He's made 2 seminal albums in different styles. Like Ape Escape was like the video game jungle kind of thing.
I knew he did video games, but I only really know his club tracks.
It's like it's phenomenal, mate. It's actually coming out on. It's going to get re-released soon on a label. And so I want to grab a copy of that on vinyl. But and he also made this seminal house record, which is called Sounds of the Far East. And they're both 2 of my biggest inspirations for Pizza Hotline stuff.
Yeah. There's some particularly fruity sampling going on. I think they couldn't license some of it for that Sounds from the Far East release because it's a collection, isn't it? It's a compilation, I think, of
stuff
like
made,
12 inches. Yeah. Because he does like really fruity versions of Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix and what's that future? I wanna be with you. I'm Enter Magic. That Italo disco song.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he does a particularly fruity version of that, and that's since become like a big future funk banger. Macross.
Okay, yeah,
Macross,
his stuff,
something.
His stuff sounds perfect for future funk. Like
Soichi Terada.
Yeah, I don't know much about future funk at all,
neither.
But I can imagine that it gets sampled a lot.
Maybe we can talk about our sort of lack of understanding of future funk leading into a lack of understanding of the term vaporwave.
Yeah.
Because we've been chatting sort of, us and the My Pet Flamingo boys and stuff about, saying that Level Select kind of falls under this definition of vaporwave, like started by Zombie with this Where Were You record, and that we did as 3-piece suites with our Innocence record. We've got a new album coming out. I've lost my train of thought through promoting my own record.
Hey, I really liked it. I listened to it this week. Well, last week actually. It's super cool. Really interesting.
Oh yeah, okay. So vaporwave as future funk. So yeah, vaporwave does not mean future funk. Although can see, how that conclusion might have been drawn.
That's what I thought when you said to me. People calling my Level Select, like all the people in the YouTube comments are like vaporwave drum and bass, vaporwave drum. I didn't even mean for it to be like that. I'm not one of those people who goes, how dare you call my music this thing I didn't intend on. But I don't care what people call it. They can call it whatever
people
they want.
Get precious, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not like that. I'm really I don't take life very seriously. But everyone's just calling Level Select that music, which is kind of interesting. I didn't ever mean for that, but I can see the association. Yeah,
that's the best position to be in. Like, I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like my area of specialism was also minimalist music, like yours was in an academic setting, and like a lot of these minimalist classical composers are very precious about being called minimalists. They don't like it, even though the term has served them like fucking well.
Do you mean American minimalism?
Yeah, Steve Reich, John Adams,
big into that. Really big into that.
Yeah, I mean. There's so much of that in electronic music, whether consciously or subconsciously, it really kick-started, especially that these guys like Steve Reich were doing electronic music. Yeah. Like, they were doing electronic music in a way that's closer to how we do it, much closer than some of the European guys like Stockhausen, who are like doing very academic, very like cerebral stuff, and then the American stuff is kind of more fun.
Yeah, it is more fun. It's more accessible, even though it's maybe seen by some to be quite inaccessible. But that kind of music, American minimalism, I looked at that a lot in my in my studies, in my dissertation, and that would have to be like, especially Steve Reich.
Yeah,
he's one of my biggest inspirations for my electronic music. Yeah, like I love it, and for me, music's about a mood. Yeah. It's not really about like what it's called or the components. It's about how it makes my mind feel. Yeah, and his music, I when I make music, I want it to feel like how I feel when I listen to his music.
Yeah, that music for 18 musicians is like the kind of blueprint. Like
that's Terry Riley.
No, that's a Steve Reich.
Oh, that is Steve Reich. Sorry,
the Terry Riley one you're thinking of probably in C, which Steve Reich was involved with.
Of course, I mixed up there. Yeah,
but terms like minimalism are super useful. Like, and actually, you can resist it or whatever. But like, my point is that like having people say vaporwave drum and bass or vaporwave and stuff probably has really helped the Pizza Hotline project and this album in particular. And I like. It seems to have like kicked the old algorithm into overdrive.
Yeah, I'm pretty privileged actually in that department, and
that was how I came across you. I think through the 4 a.m. breaks.
Okay. And did you? I'm interested. Did you subscribe to them already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
And I was listening to these kind of mixes of gaming. Yeah, like of this uncanny. Like drum and bass music that was in games. Yeah, and then I stumbled across yours, and obviously the artwork is like super arresting.
Yeah, thank you.
So who's responsible for that artwork then?
He's an absolute wizard from Argentina.
Yeah,
I think that might be wrong. It's around that area.
South American artist.
Yes. Visual artist. He also makes music. Yeah, he's actually done a remix on the album. His is the last track. He's called Gendema, Gendema. Yeah, he's one of the most talented visual artists I've ever come across. And he helps do artwork for the label Villain. Yeah, with an A. Yeah, he does art for them, and
Villain with a 4.
Villain with a 4.
It's got an A in it anyway. Doesn't it?
I'm so dyslexic. I've always thought it was an A, but it's a 4 instead of an A.
Yeah.
He does artwork for them, and when I find their label, their artwork, you use the word arresting. That's exactly the word I'd use. It totally blows my mind.
They're like layout specialists, right? Like I think a lot of those releases credit somebody, probably this guy, for like formatting these releases like really well. Even if there's somebody else has done the original artist. This guy did both for you, did he? Like
he did level select.
Yeah. The full. He designed the image and
did everything.
and formatted it for physical media.
Yeah, my knowledge of like graphics is pretty like superficial. I didn't know you had someone who does layouts as well as the pictures.
That's well. I mean, not normally, but I think that's what the kind of Villain pure life kind of world I seem to see that, and that's a flex. They take shit seriously.
We have a person to do the pictures, and they have a person to lay them out. That's super cool. I love that. They all take their artwork seriously, and I love that. And it's super important today. We live in this world where like, we're satiated with so much music. You kind of need decent artwork to help stuff stand out a bit more.
Yeah.
And so Gendema, or I call him G.
Yeah.
He makes music under Gendema, or his other alias is I can't remember. If you go to Around the Water Cooler on Bandcamp, he's done an album on there that's really good.
Cool. And that's your label.
It's a label
dormant kind of label.
Let's use the word dormant. I kind of made it, and I didn't ever take it super seriously. I just kind of put stuff on there every now and again. And if someone sent me a decent release, I'd put it up there. Everything's free, I think. I did some tapes; they went well, but I'm kind of moved on to my own Pizza Hotline Bandcamp now, and I'm going to use that as my kind of platform. But Gendema, I can't remember what happened. He sent me an album and I released it and thought it was really original, really interesting, and he was like, I also do visuals. Turns out that was his thing. Like,
lucked out, bro.
I know. He does graphic art as his main thing, I think, and music as his perhaps secondary, I don't know, but I think that's the way. But his visual art's super strong. I mean, it's mind-blowing. And he did a couple of tapes for me. And then I made Level Select over the course of a year. Just I'd work on a tune for like 6 hours, and then I wouldn't work on one for like 3 months, and then I'd come back and do maybe 7 hours, 10 hours, and then wouldn't work on one for a couple of months, and then
that's an eternity in the internet music world. In where in the world where people can like bang out an album, and the jokes that you can make an album quicker than it takes to listen to. Right?
That's a really good world. Yeah, I heard that on the Luxury Elite pod interview you did, which was super cool. And I used to make music really fast. I used to make music like non-vaporwave music. I used to make so fast when I had loads of time. Now my life's different, and my brain is different, and like I can only make music when my mind wants to. I can't force it, and you know what it's like. Otherwise,
extra difficult now with dads, right?
Yeah,
you probably have to book time in.
I do. Yeah.
Have you had any time to make music?
I have actually. Yes, I've been working on another next Pizza Hotline release. So when Ruth goes away, and maybe hangs out with the mates, then I'm like, oh, let's make some music.
Yeah, it has to be much more sort of structured and disciplined.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
There's a plus to it.
Well said. Well said. But anyway, so I got in, Jen Dima, I had this idea for a controller floating in a white room, or an object floating in a white room for 6 months. I was like, an object. What's the object? What's the object going to be? And I was really inspired by the Vaporer album. The what do they call it? Something trap, Vapor Trap.
Vapor Trap. Yeah.
Which is, I guess, like Level Select's a similar thing, accidentally.
Yeah.
Really accidentally. I'm not just saying that. It's like it didn't mean for the association to be there so strongly, but I just wanted an object floating in a white room, and for a long time it was going to be a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because I found this really interesting pack of cigarettes on the floor in London that it's a Japanese pack of cigarettes, and they're called like Sky Blue Wolf, and there's no don't smoke or it'll kill you signs on there. It's just like a
the clean packaging.
Yeah, it's super clean, and it's like the most beautiful. I kept it. I actually have it in my house, and it's the most gorgeous thing. And I wanted that to be on there, but then it eventually just turned into a controller, and then I got someone to do it, and then he did it. He did a really good job of it, and then eventually somehow Jen Dima just did it for me, and it blew my mind. I didn't know what to do with the album though, so I just sent it to Tony at Cityman, saying, "Oh, do you know a label that might be good for it?" Because I couldn't think of any labels. Yeah. Because I was thinking of drum and bass specific labels. Yeah. You are. Yeah, you have. You'll find a home. You always do. And I was trying to look for vaporwave. I was trying to look for drum and bass specific labels, and I turned out that was a stupid idea. And Tony was just like, "I really like it. Let's. Why don't I put it out?"
They've put out Ursula's Cartridges records, which do a similar thing. Even like the sort of Wipeout aesthetic. I think the Wipeout one was actually on MPF, but there is kind of ravey stuff on there, and Tony clearly has an ear for that sound, doesn't he?
Yeah. And all this stuff's been under my nose. I was like, I need to find all these new labels who I don't know yet, and all this stuff was under my nose the whole time. Yeah.
And most drum and bass labels would be looking for club tracks, wouldn't they?
That's it.
I mean, I heard your music in the club.
Da club.
A couple of weekends ago, and it works fucking well.
Yeah, cool.
But there's partly the thrill of hearing these kind of PlayStation sounds. Like it's almost reverse engineered, right? Sounds that have gone from the club to the console back to the club, right?
Interesting insight. That's really interesting.
That's a bit of a buzz. I've always enjoyed hearing that in clubs. Like what you're saying about this kind of almost needing this as like a kind of refresher from the kind of more serious techno stuff. Like I was going. I used to go to clubs a lot when I wasn't a dad, and there's this idea in kind of British music discourse of the hardcore continuum, which is like there's like a thread linking British music all through like hardcore and drum and bass and garage and dubstep, and there's like a kind of thread linking kind of British sounds. Breaks seem to be kind of prevalent throughout the whole thing, but there's this yin yang of like kind of macho sort of tough sounds, and then kind of more fruity, girly kind of fun sounds. And I think like maybe this kind of yin yang thing of having them
together,
having your two projects kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Well put.
But yeah, I remember. What I was going to say is like going to clubs and like going to hearing a lot of non-fruity music, heady music, let's call it heady stuff.
I like using the word heady. Like, yeah.
But then like when you go to a club and you hear somebody dropping something like really fruity, I remember hearing like I think maybe like Boo Williams playing like a Giorgio Moroder track or something. Like just hearing things like that, like hearing naughty things. Like all those guys like Floating Points and Fortet are really good at just playing like silly songs in the club and just being like, come on, this is a space for fun. Like this isn't like an elitist space.
Too right.
Have fun.
The UK scene in terms of like house and techno is super serious. It takes itself so seriously, and I think I was just a bit worn out from that. Yeah, I still am a bit. Yeah, and like and that
Mr. Finger stuff is fun, right? Like the stuff that
fun
that
music. It's
music, melodic.
Yeah, it's music that doesn't take itself too seriously, and like you get people who have a really high opinion of themselves and stuff, and I don't know, I was just a bit done with it, I think, and like maybe I'll go back. I probably will, but I just wanted to do something a bit.
Some of that techno stuff is funny, like inadvertently or not, right? It's kind of the whole sort of basic channel rhythm and sound thing. Even sort of Ricardo Villalobos and stuff like these guys are sort of fun, almost because they take themselves so seriously. These kind of very po-faced sort of Germans or whatever, like Mark Ernestus, or whatever, Moritz von Oswald. Yeah. And they're doing like incredibly dorky things with sound, or it's like sometimes it's funny if it's like I've got a new single out and it's 29 minutes long or whatever, like that's kind of funny in and of itself.
I love Maurice von Oswald, one of my heroes. another one of my heroes, as well as Soichi. There's this interview with him. He's so funny. Do you know he's like an aristocrat?
Okay,
he's
sounds like it.
German royalty,
Wow.
He came from his family crest has a wiki page, and you can find it. I know he's a really interesting chap.
So why is that like a funny thing to us, but with somebody who's European, but like when you find out, it's like I can't even remember what they were called, but there was like a DJ crew who were like big in the business techno world, and it became apparent that they were the landlords of like Brixton Market, who are like responsible for evicting, all the kind of original shopkeepers and stuff.
Oh, no.
And then you see like this Goldman Sachs CEO who was like DJing at Lollapalooza or Coachella or whatever. Like, why is it funny that Moritz? It's almost because it's so ridiculous. Like a German aristocrat versus like some banker.
You can't even make it up, can you?
And both should really be unacceptable. Apart from the fact that Maurice van Oswald is really good.
Yeah, he is just one of the biggest innovators in 4/4 electronic music I've ever heard. And I love this interview with him. He's so super serious guy. He has the Maurice van Oswald trio. I'm not sure if you've seen that. Super serious stuff, very heady. And he doesn't do many interviews, and because I'm massively obsessed with Basic Channel and Rhythm and Sound and his whole history, his music history. And he's sitting there with a cravat. He has like a cravat like tied around his neck, and he's sitting there. I like to think he was smoking a cigarette, but he's probably not. It's just my memory putting the cigarette in his hand to make it seem more funny. And
glass of brandy, I think.
Something like that. And then someone says to him what it's like working with, I think it's Juan Atkins. They say, I think it's Juan or Carl Craig. And he says, he's like, what's it like working with so-and-so? And he goes, he plays one note and I am inspired. which is so true.
Yeah.
But the way he says it and the context and who he is just hilarious to me. And I love that. I think it's important to enjoy this really serious music for what it is and not, but you can take things seriously or not. It doesn't really matter.
I'm not necessarily trying to get back on my sort of anti-American horse, but one thing that a lot of those guys say, so Juan Atkins and some of the, Chicago, Detroit guys, even the people who make like Juke and Footwork and stuff, is that they've got very little audience for their music back at home. Like the history of electronic music in the States is so complicated because, the house and techno sounds that we know and love originate from them, with strong influence from Kraftwerk. But like electronic music in the States has really taken a long time to kind of catch on. And I think it was the innovation was happening in Britain and in Europe and in Japan and stuff and a lot of these guys still have to, they do all their gigs and stuff in Europe.
I didn't know that.
They don't necessarily have a massive audience at home.
Following all of them, religiously for a long time. US house and techno is my favorite kind. Even though I like German stuff, but US is like some of my favorite. Yeah. I just assumed they were touring there as well.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I mean, there's things like Movement Festival in Detroit and stuff, but these guys, the Chicago Footwork guys. They have like a local following, but it was people like Code 9 and. Who makes music as music? You know the artist Music?
No.
No. Mike Paradinas is the name I was looking for. They put out all those Bangs and Works compilations of footwork stuff. Like it got massively kind of bigged up in UK and Europe and stuff, and all those DJs are just like here the whole freaking time.
Yeah, DJ Bone is a famous Detroit guy. Mm-hmm. He lives in Amsterdam. Yeah, because he said to me, he was like, I live in Amsterdam because like otherwise I'd just be flying from the States all the time. Yeah, like he doesn't go back to this. Well, I think he does, but it's just Central Europe, isn't it?
But yeah, I think, electronic music is big in the States now. Like I remember, I think we're old enough to have witnessed in real time this kind of dubstep sound being kind of transplanted from the UK where it was one thing to the States where it became something else. That was a big thing that we kind of witnessed. And I think that was a big passing the torch moment. And this kind of EDM is almost like this kind of evangelical discovery of electronic music for the first time in the States, where like with festival crowds.
You mean the really intense over the top sound?
Yeah, this EDM, like it got massively Americanized.
Is that what it's like there predominantly, do you think, in parties and stuff? When they say, they don't have much audience for their music, like Juan Atkins, do you think a lot of the parties are just that kind of music?
Yeah, I think so.
It's so strange that it is that. It must be, do you think it's a result of social media?
I think it's just American taste. There's a really good thing on Netflix at the moment, which is a documentary about Woodstock 99, which is like, obviously the original Woodstock is kind of legendary hippie festival. And then they tried to recreate it in 1999 and it was like the dying days of Gen X, like early millennials, the music at the time was Limp Bizkit and Korn.
Oh yeah,
it was a freaking disaster. And they show clips like it got really ugly in their rave tent, and I think like the rave tent was headlined by Fatboy Slim. Like they had to get a British act.
Yeah,
to do it. But,
sounds about right. That's funny.
But yeah, like I think like the innovation at this period of time was being done by British and Japanese composers. And so, yeah, there's big parallels between UK music culture and Japanese culture. I think there's like an island thing where it's like people are quite patriotic and they kind of pick and choose what they like from other cultures and they kind of do their own thing with it. And I feel like Britain and Japan, British and Japanese musicians came to kind of really interesting conclusions at this period of time.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I don't know. Maybe that's too deep.
I agree with that actually, and it's something I've not thought a huge amount about.
Yeah.
But I love a lot of Japanese electronic music.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. We have got some questions from fans and listeners. Adam Pierce asked a bunch of questions.
He did,
including most importantly, what type of underwear you favour.
And he asked me if I wear pants or joggers. No, boxers, sorry. Pants or boxers. The answer is boxers, nothing but boxers. But,
Never, nothing at all?
No, but I do have an OnlyFans, Adam, so if you want to, sell things on there.
We've all got to eat.
He asked a load of questions. What else did he have?
Well, I mean, you can kind of... there was another person with a very nice username, which was Ball Sexquisite.
These are some interesting questions and people.
Yeah. I think they might have... moved over from your OnlyFans kind of
thing. Yeah, I don't know, Pizza Hotline OnlyFans for years before I made music. Did I not say?
Yeah. But yeah, I think most of their questions are about workflow. I think that's what we can summarize. So like, cool. let's
we can get technical if you want. I love it.
Yeah, we've got nerdy already. We might as well
let's go
carry on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like specifically maybe with Pizza Hotline stuff, and maybe specifically with what you've been doing more recently. Like, what's your work process?
So previously it was always synthesized, usually with hardware. And arranged in Ableton.
Yeah.
And then some software synths and like mixing specifically in the box. I don't mix out of the box because I love the convenience of plugins and they have a very convincing sound. I'm a bit of an analog.
Plugins.
Love plugins. I'm a bit of an analog. I used to be a bit of an analog snob, like when I was a student. But
big up stock plugins.
Yeah, stock plugins, mate. Yeah. They can be amazing. Yeah. Big up. In my opinion, big up whatever tool it takes to get the job done at the time
and finish your fucking music.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm so tired of like, I don't know, just people saying, oh, you need, like I work as an audio professional now, like it's my job, and people just saying, oh, you shouldn't do that because everyone says you shouldn't use this type of cut to do this kind of thing. And I just don't be like that. Don't think like that. It will just limit your music or make it sound like everyone else's. Yeah. But now for Pizza Hotline, it is like the entirety of Level Select was made all in the box with samples, and I don't usually use samples, not because I have a grudge against them, it's just they didn't harbor the results that I was looking for previously. I used to want to make like synthesized music with synths, like tweaking parameters live. With samples, you're obviously limited to what the audio content is there. But I made it all with samples. I had this, there's a load of 90s jungle packs called, there's one called Jungle. It's just like a jungle.
Yeah,
have you got it?
Let's get that one up.
Everyone's got it, yeah. It's by Blue Martin.
Yeah.
Go download it.
What about this? Billy Bunter?
I don't have that one, no. I had...
Jungle.
Yeah, there you go, that's it.
What about these? Zero G?
I don't have that.
Oh,
maybe you could send me that, because I've been trying to download that, and like
add me on LimeWire.
The mirrors are... Yeah, I'll add you on LimeWire. The mirrors are all dead for it.
Yeah.
It'll just take someone to upload. Maybe.
Naughty places of Reddit.
That's it. Yeah. So I made it exclusive with samples, and I did actually tell a lie. All the melodies are synthesized with Serum. I love that synth. I used to make presets for Serum as a job.
Wow.
So doing that, you learn something inside and out, really, don't you?
Wow.
That was a cool job, and I used to make samples for a job.
Shout out presets.
So again, shout out presets. Like you'll hear,
especially when you hear like a sound from another record and you make those mental
lately bass. lately bass, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't slag off presets ever. Like,
that's a big part of vaporwave. Like the way people make vaporwave now is not using samples necessarily in the conventional sense where you slow down somebody else's song, but like sampling using familiar preset sounds to make original music. I think that's a form of sampling.
Of course. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's like a referential thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So everything was done with Serum. All the bass lines I'll give away my secret that I stole from someone else. It's just a sampled sine wave or a sampled 808 kick into an Ableton sampler. But my secret to make things sound a bit old is just put it through like, I'm not even kidding, like 5 stages of tape distortion.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they're all just poking it a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Or like 5 stages of noisy analog compression, but each compressor's doing like 1 or 2 max dB of gain reduction.
You won't hear those sine waves otherwise, will you, for those subs?
Exactly. Yeah, they'll get squared off, or like, or you're just taking a pure sine, you're trying to generate overtones, and if obviously using analog modeling stuff, it'll create overtones that are mathematically related to the fundamentals. So like that will sound really nice, and that's kind of.
You got a degree in this?
Yes. Just loads of analog modeling plugins like to make like that sound. There's a really good one by this company called Tone Boosters. It's like 40 quid. It's called Real Bus. It sounds unbelievable. No one talks about it. I don't know why. Everyone should talk about it. It's unbelievable. Isotope Trash 2. Yeah. There's some great saturation algorithms in there.
I think that is or was free.
Is it?
Yeah, or for like 20 quid because it's an old plugin, isn't it? Yeah, and I don't think they maintain it anymore, but that does some naughty things.
Amazing. What other Satura? Fab Filter Saturn is all right. I find that better for high-end stuff, as in like for high frequencies, not as good for lows in my opinion.
And it's a posh one as well.
It is a posh and expensive one, but the modulation options are insane if you want to use them. And yeah, the pads are mostly sampled, or everything's synthesized in Serum. I think moving forward, I'm going to work on loads of this music. I want to be a bit more original with it. I was very fast and loose with my sampling, and like I feel like I made it not knowing what would happen. I didn't think that anyone would really listen to it. I'm not even joking you. Like my other albums, like they didn't really get many plays. Yeah. So now, unfortunately, I'm very self-conscious about moving forward musically. Like I'm like, not that I won't make music, but I'm just like, oh, I don't have that blissful ignorance that I previously had.
Well, you've got an audience and you need to retain them. Right?
I know. Not that I feel like I should, because I feel like I'll never make stuff that I'm not happy with ever. Yeah. Like that's just not something I'll ever want to do. Yeah. I'm definitely conscious about it now. But in terms of the breaks, they're all just very famous breaks that have been sampled billions of times from sample packs. I don't think any of them are doctored in any way, as in they're processed lots, but not. I didn't add samples to them. I did layering breaks a bit, but the music I've worked on since Level Select, I don't want to use any original any purely sample breaks. I want to what I'm doing now is just taking snares from different breaks and the MIDI swing data, or the MIDI data from a break, and then just filling it in with different sounds, because I just want to sound a bit more original, really. I don't think I could do the same thing again. I wouldn't want to do that, really.
I think that's another part of the sort of yin yang thing, which is like electronic music that's got sample drums, like particularly breaks, versus electronic music that's got programmed drums, like the kind of techno sound. And obviously like some of this kind of liquidy drum and bass stuff actually kind of started to kind of shift more towards that, didn't it? Using kind of programmed breaks, having this kind of more machine-like thing. Obviously also kind of led to sort of kind of that sort of heavier hitting sort of jump up kind of style, which maybe isn't particularly relevant to what you do, but is popular, isn't it? Those kind of hard hitting one shot kind of drum sounds.
Yeah, Citroen Saxo wobs.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I loved that wobby drum and bass.
You say you got a background in Bristol, is that right?
Yeah.
That's the Bristol sound.
That's it. Yeah.
It always cracks me up. I don't know. I think they call it like triplet drum and bass. You know when?
Oh,
where it sounds like a sort of Austrian kind of folk dance or something. That's always cracked me up.
That's funny, isn't it? Oh god, yeah. But the question was, I just want to make sure I've answered the question. It was, what's workflow?
Just how do you? What knickers do you wear, and what's your workflow? I think you've answered it really well. I just want to give a quick shout out to somebody who was actually present at the Pure Live event where we met. So they actually snapped like a really nice picture of me. Which thanks for that. The artist is called Shirobon, And they were like, oh yeah, I make some music or whatever. Yeah,
Have you checked their music out?
Yeah, they really make some music.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are a photographer, and have you seen their photos as well? Oh, well, you've seen the photo of
that's
you.
right, yeah.
But have you been on their Instagram?
Yeah.
Their photos are beautiful. And
Yeah,
then
this kind of dream punk.
Yeah.
Like from actual photographs.
And the music, they messaged me and went, yeah, they said the same. Did they say the same to you? Yeah.
Oh, maybe they got a stock message.
And no. I'm sure it's personal. But they sent to me like an EP of like PS1 drum and bass, they called it, and it was like so well put together, really interesting. Did you?
They're so. I was going to say promiscuous. Promiscuous isn't the right word. What's the
You mean like a dark horse?
No, somebody who makes lots of music.
Oh, prolific?
Prolific.
Yes.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Maybe promiscuous. You know, you do your own thing.
We've got a plugin that can take out words.
No. I think they'll enjoy it. But yeah, they were like, oh, by the way. Well, actually, I don't think they even told me. I found themselves. So they extrapolated a load of reverbs from PlayStation games. They got like a convolution reverb pack available on their Bandcamp.
Blew my mind when I find that. I'm going to use that in my music.
I was going to ask, is that that you discovered that post putting out the record?
I probably discovered it like the same day or week you did, because I met him at
the Friday of the gig.
Yeah, and then the same thing. Just I'll check out my tunes, and then I found they've taken impulse responses of the onboard reverb unit in the PS1. Which they actually put a CDR full of sine waves, just like broadband sweeps, and just capture them all. And I downloaded them. They sound great. Yeah, put them in a convolution.
Those. Yeah. Shout out Shirobon.
Massive shout out to Shirobon. Huge.
We'll tag you in this. So
hugely appreciate your impulse response.
Also, they were like quite casual, like, oh, I make a bit of music as well as doing photography, and you go on Spotify and it's like 250,000 monthly listeners.
I know, right? And like I was just like, oh, I don't know, just the pockets of talent.
Not that should matter, but I think deservedly so as well.
Yeah.
That's not like algorithm fluke or payola. That's like
good music.
That's a busy boy.
Yeah. Oh, just the pockets of talent, and these people just don't. Oh, I don't know.
They've got Prophet 6, by the way.
What's that? Oh, a Prophet 6. Yes. Oh, lovely. All right, I better join the club soon. Right. Next question. What we got?
Yeah. I think we're getting towards the end, but like Let's go for some big ones, and then we can get silly at the end.
Cool.
Actually, wait, just a brief side one, because I know Enzo kind of wants to know, like what kind of drum and bass, like aside from the video game stuff, like what's the kind of jungle and drum and bass that you enjoy or enjoyed listening to. He's a big LTG Bookham.
Okay, yeah, so definitely Bookham. Yeah. Do you know what? Like I always loved Liquid and stuff, but the common trend of drum and bass that I've loved has just been minimal drum and bass, just minimalistic. Not too. I said I like the Wobbs. I did like a bit of that. Photek, huge Photek fan. Yeah. There's another artist like Photek who's Paradox. Okay. I love Paradox. Super talented guy. Who else? Prodigy's early like break stuff. Obviously there was a massive foot in the door for most people like me and you.
More kind of maximalist, right? Like kind of, it's always had this sort of rock and roll energy, punk energy.
Very rock and roll,
very fucking cool.
Very punk. But yeah, in terms of drum and bass, just minimal stuff. Like love LTJ Bookham, Peshay, huge fan of Peshay.
That's the OG like PlayStation Jungle, was it? That Peshay set, that is
Peshay's
the
studio set.
Yeah, that is the algorithm. Like, PlayStation. It's not PlayStation music, but it might as well be. Fucking hell, that artwork, man! I see it in my dreams. Like, what is it?
I saw on someone on Reddit.
I want it tattooed on my back.
Bought a mug of it.
Yeah,
and like they wrote something like, "Me and my brother have listened to this mix like hundreds of thousands of times, and we can't stop." And it's such a good mix. That Hypersleep tune. Have you heard that? 97 revamp. Yeah. That sound like is me in terms of drum and bass. That whole sound. It doesn't need to be like Liquid, although it is chill like drum and bass. But yeah, so that kind of stuff. But yeah, one of my, as I said earlier, my biggest inspiration is Soichi's drum and bass, which if you haven't checked out.
Soichi Terada makes drum and bass.
Ape Escape soundtrack is like drum and bass. It's gotcha. Like really clean, early minimalist jungle, but it's not. You can tell that it hasn't been a product of someone who grew up in the UK. Yeah, because it doesn't have that hard energy. Obviously, he made it for a drum. He's
quite a goofy, funny guy, isn't he? In his Hawaiian shirts, and he plays with his little synths live and stuff. Like, it's like most people do like moody DJ sets, and he's there with his tiny like portable synths and stuff, like doing stylophone solos and like really mugging to the crowd.
And you go to a festival, and there's all these like super serious like techno people who I love, but then you go see him, and it's like, I just love someone like that.
Tell me which one's more fun.
Yeah. Soichi. But so check out Ape Escape. The album, the soundtrack is phenomenal. Yeah. Like, it's a work of art. It really, really is.
Oh, wow.
So
and what's the game?
The game is Ape Escape.
Yeah.
It's called Ape Escape, and it's just the Ape Escape OST. Ape Escape is a series that's been added to by the developer I think they're not still making them, but there's Ape Escape 1, 2.
What are they? 3. Little monkeys that roll around?
So the way the game is, you are a person who travels through time. So the way it works is this monkey. I think he created a hat that gives him like.
It's all ringing a bell.
Yeah, that gives him intelligence. I played it in 2021.
Helmet kind of vibes.
Yeah. So like he puts a helmet on and it gives him intelligence, and he can command all these monkeys that aren't as intelligent as him, and he tells them to go through time. And I think they changed time to make it so monkeys are the dominant species and humans are not. Cool. And you're this kid, you're a cliche 90s like cool kid named Spike, and you you have to go through time with a time net given to you by this doctor, I can't remember his name, and you have to catch monkeys. And it's a really good game that really stands up. I played it in 2021 and it blew my mind, and that's another one of the catalysts that helped me get into this kind of stuff. Wow. But Enzo, definitely check out Level Select, the OST. Level Select, sorry, not Level Select. Oh my god,
edit that. Checked out that one.
Yeah, sorry, Enzo, you got to check out a massive clanger. Oh god, you got to check out Ape Escape OST and Ape Escape 3 OST. Ape Escape 2 was not made by Soichi Terada.
Yeah,
although it's good, it's just different.
He's got such a distinctive sound, and that's so difficult in electronic music to have a distinctive sound when everyone uses the same tools.
And the same samples. Yeah,
and it's not a gear thing, because you think about somebody like Burial. Burial doesn't have gear. He's got Soundforge, video editor.
Love it. I downloaded it to try. Oh my god, it was a headache.
Yeah, it's not going to make you Burial, is it?
No, of course it won't. Yeah. Although I thought
it's all about the lived experience, and because he puts so much of his tastes and his personality into his music, and that's really what you should be doing. Like, in my opinion, the thing that I like about vaporwave, and the thing that I like about a lot of electronic music, is it's almost like an alternative to songwriting. It's like a way to be confessional and stuff. And like somebody like Burial tells his story through samples and stuff, like manipulating existing music to kind of say what he wants to say in the absence of wanting to or being able to play an acoustic guitar and sing a song.
Yeah, and it's so much agency for people who can't do that, who don't do that.
Yeah, or don't want to. Like, it's just it's quite a modern way of doing things, isn't it? Like, people will always make songs with the acoustic guitar, but like, there's something fucking cool about taking Brandy a cappella or a Ray J a cappella and like manipulating it over your sort of garage beats and it's like painting sort of heartbreaking pictures.
And coincidentally, that record, Burial's record, is Untrue. It's full of Metal Gear Solid sounds.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was a big part of my childhood. Like
Metal Gear Solid.
Playing that on PlayStation. And the sound design more than the music. The music is kind of eerie, isn't it? And you just hear kind of these bullet casings kind of rattling around and stuff.
The sound design is flawless. Some of the best I've heard in a video game, and still a lot of it's in my music. I have all the sounds and I just use them all the time.
We need a sample swap, don't we?
We should have brought my hard drive.
Get in touch if you've got good samples as well. Maybe we need to start like a Discord or something.
Actually I did start a Discord called DualShock, which is the name of the PS1
the controller,
and it's specifically for bangers hidden in video games that you can't really find on YouTube. I haven't put it anywhere publicly. There's like 10 people in it who, it's not that active, but maybe I should crank it back up. I think there's people who'd be interested, but I don't really have the time to manage a Discord. If you're interested, or if anyone's interested, let me know. We can maybe do something. But I'd love for a community like that to be thriving. It's just unfortunate I don't have the time to do that.
Well, I think it might be a sound that is on the up, just because of there's a lot of people our age reminiscing over that kind of music, and then there are younger people who are interested for whatever reason in hearing us like quasi boomers reminiscing about our childhoods. I think other people's childhoods are interesting, right? Because it's hard to imagine.
Yeah, that's it. And you'll never be there.
Yeah.
No matter what you do or what you hear or what you think, you'll never be there truly.
But you can offer people a taste, can't you?
Exactly.
That's my kind of thought process with the kind of Witcher to LimeWire stuff I do, taking you back to those illegal file sharing
When
days.
I heard those tunes, it's such an interesting pocket of technology history. LimeWire, it's such a filthy pocket in terms
but it's mad. Like SoulSeek is a big thing now, and they're like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And the interface is so fugly, like it might as well be LimeWire.
I guess the difference is you can see what bit rate, or maybe you could with LimeWire, and I just didn't understand what that meant. SoulSeek.
We thought .exe was the Limp Bizkit kind of format, Linkin Park format.
funny. Oh god.
Oh man. Yeah. Let's. We're on the kind of home stretch, I think. But I just like we've been talking or kind of implying some of the kind of more positive aspects about sort of nostalgia and kind of maybe authenticity. I wonder whether you've got any reservations, whether you think like that it might be a sort of creative dead end, or whether you're aware of this kind of retromania hypothesis that Simon Reynolds has, that like too many artists are kind of digging back, and they're actually the most interesting stuff might not be hipsters like us digging back. It might actually be people like Skrillex making very futuristic, quite brash in your face music. It's a provocative hypothesis. But
that is a provocative hypothesis.
I wonder if you think there's any merit to
I've thought about this a lot. I actually think about this whole nostalgia thing. This, like, I heard someone on a podcast recently say, you know, we've been stuck in a weird 80s nostalgia vortex for like 40 years or like 30 years.
On 90s, noughties now, isn't it? Clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, I think that's partly due to like, that's partly one of the reasons why like the music I made was a bit successful, because like I just accidentally tapped into it. But I think about it a lot, and the South Park episode about member berries, I don't know if you've seen that, where it's like they're taking the piss out of people who all they do is think about
it's just references. It's like just people our age who chat entirely in Simpsons quotes from a very specific set of series.
Thinking about a time that was what people perceive as better, but probably wasn't. It was just a time they remember as better. It's a huge rose-tinted glasses type of affair, isn't it? And I think about it a lot, and I'm like, is it bad for my mind to be constantly thinking back at things that probably weren't as good as they are now? Or maybe, I don't know, but I'm completely addicted to using my phone, like absolutely, and I'm addicted to it because I'm obsessed with managing my artist profile. I don't really
That's
do
honest.
it. I don't do it in a personal sense. I don't put, here's my baby, or here's my house I've painted. I'm not interested in doing that, but I'm interested in developing my artist profile online, and I'm super addicted to my phone, and that comes hand in hand with the whole looking back, because all the things I look at, like all I look at is retro video game technology. Like before I came here, I was getting ready, I was looking at like the chipset architecture of the Sega Saturn. I was like,
it's that guy called Techmoan. Do you know his channel?
Love him, massive fan of his. And I'm like,
he's reviewed some of the mini discs that you see up here. I think.
Has he?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not sure necessarily the MPF ones, but like some vaporwave artists have got mini discs to him, and I know that I think Equip. I think that's how you say his name.
Equip,
I think they did a release on Wax Cylinder, which is like the holy grail of like hipster nonsense.
Yeah, we thought that 8-track releases were silly. Guess again, it's all about the 8-track. Yeah,
I've got to show you. We've got there's a Donor Lens remix on a Hot Pink reel-to-reel tape in a little pizza box. I'll show you that before the end.
Sex on legs. I've actually been thinking about pizza boxes and.
This would be a little pizza box.
That's really cool. You've done that. Whatever, that's really cool. I'm thinking about this association with 12-inch discs and pizzas and vinyl, because they're both 12-inch discs.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of ideas. I'm not going to give anything away, but I've got a lot of ideas.
Be expensive.
It will be. Yeah.
Anything not standard is going to be expensive.
That's it. Yeah, but I've got a lot. I've too many ideas. Some are really silly, but the whole pizza thing, people seem to really love it. Like, I don't know why. I guess it's that 80s pizza boy,
or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kind of thing, like these kind of emoji pepperoni pizzas,
it's funny, and I'm gonna play the living shit out of it, don't worry. I love like hammering it up for people.
It's cool. I think if you've struck on some gold, keep mining that reservoir. Like, I think I don't just want to talk about myself, but like my most successful music project is one that really kind of defies what you're supposed to be doing, like, which is like, if you've discovered a good sound as an artist, like keep doing that, because your audience will love it. But like the Donor Lens project is all over the place, in my opinion. But
which record are you referring to? Which
just
one?
Like every record. Well, maybe every record has its own sound, which is probably enough. And I think that's true of Pizza Hotline as well, given that like this. It hasn't always been a retro jungle act.
No, hell no.
It's been through a lot of transformations. So
that's why I'm thinking about my next stuff. Like, am I going to do the same thing again? As you said,
you
keep mining. Keep mining. I will.
but equally, if you went in a different direction, I'm sure you would do justice to it as well.
Thanks, mate. That's really nice. Yeah. Cheers.
That's cool. Let's finish on some pizza chat then, because we've kind of hinted at it. So
let's go.
Are you? Greasy pizza or hipster pizza? Are we wood fired, or are we sort of late night after a few drinks?
Are we Pizza Hotline pizza from here in Hill? Okay, this is a massive thing I think about a lot. Like, it keeps me up at night, and it's something that people think about, I think, you know. And do you know what? I think there's a pizza for every mood. And like, I'm really like, you will catch me loving a Franco Manca and being like, this is banging. This was only £10 and it's a really good artisan pizza. But at the same time, you will catch me eating, there's this place by my place called Emparo Pizza in Finsbury Park, cheap as hell. It's probably like £8 for like a 16-inch pizza, and it's a greasy old thing. And it's got like American flags on the box. It's like so hilariously generic.
Thick,
deep dish. No,
actual deep dish?
I don't know what is actual deep dish. It's thick.
So my brother used to be based out in Chicago, and like the first couple of times I go out to visit him, it's a casserole. It's not a pizza.
Oh, it's like a inch. Okay, never.
The tin's lined with butter.
Oh, naughty.
It's naughty. Like a bite to a slice is good.
Yeah,
a whole pie is obscene.
Okay, so it's not. Empire Pizza is not deep dish. I've never seen deep dish after hearing that. Which I need to. Someone educate me. I want to try that, but so I think there's a pizza. I think there's a pizza for all occasions. But there is bad pizza. You know, you get like a £1 pizza from Lidl. Sometimes those aren't so good. Yeah,
the floppy ones on the styrofoam boards.
Oh yeah, and actually,
what about one of those like microwave ones where you have to like construct a little sort of foil platform to kind of elevate?
I've never seen that, and I want to.
Chicago Town.
I've had them.
Yeah, you have to manufacture a kind of plinth.
Do you? Oh, so it cooks the bottom?
Yeah,
that's so funny.
Yeah, the bottom does not get.
You're putting the pizza on the pedestal, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pizza for all types. Franco Manca in London's always good, and there's a place in London.
They were like the first wave of kind of hipster pizzas. I call them the burnt pizza.
We're going to burn it.
Burnt sourdough.
We're going to burn it, and we're going to charge you extra for the pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah, but their pizza's great, man. And if you go into, actually, when my wife was not giving birth, but in labour, she was in labour for 5 days. She was like, just go out and get some food. It was a long time. I went to get a pizza, and I went to Franco Manca, and it was £5 for any takeaway pizza. 12 if you ordered from them, but £5. So I think most Franco Mancas do this on weekdays. So
nice. Shout out Franco Manca.
Shout out Franco Manca.
Also shout out, I mean, we probably should have plugged this a little bit more, but in November at Folklore in Hoxton, Pizza Hotline is performing.
I am, alongside Cat System Corp.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of his.
This is amazing.
And yourself?
Yeah, so I'm performing as part of Donor Lens, performing as part of the Iverson band as well.
Okay, yeah.
And there may be a sort of naughty rumble in the jungle at the end.
Oh, let's see.
A little bit of a DJ free-for-all.
Yeah, in Folklore in Hoxton on the 12th of November.
Yeah.
See you there.
But next door to Folklore, Yard Sale Pizza.
Is it Yard Sale?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. I can't wait. And I did actually put my rider to...
and you need some pizza on
I said the rider is 5.
You're such a diva.
My girlfriend told me to do it, and I thought that is so funny. I was only joking, but if it happens, that'd be great.
We'll lay on some pizzas.
5 12-inch pizzas delivered to the dance floor.
Wow. Oh, really? You want that?
Well, that's just what I said.
Have you seen this video with Katy Perry doing like a public appearance, and she's like lobbing pizza into the crowd? This is what we were saying about American dances.
Yeah.
My anti-Americanism's really coming out here, but come on, this is not acceptable nightclub behavior. Katy Perry lobbing pizza slices at the crowd, and like the crowd are so far away from her, like they're all falling short. They're like falling into the into the photo pit.
A waste of pizza is never a good
waste.
thing. No.
Yeah.
Even if
I like Katy Perry.
Yeah, she's good. She's good artist.
she's what?
She's a good pop artist.
Yeah.
She's a good pop artist.
Like you're going cute. She got her start in the new metal world. She was a backing vocalist of POD.
Wow.
Christian new metal band.
Really interesting. Yeah. God, that's interesting.
It's a factoid from Wichita Limewire.
So yeah, I think maybe when we go to this gig in the 12th of November, I might just have to spend all night at Yard Sale. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. It's just next door, so it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can plug an aux in next door and you can hear what you...
I don't blame you, man. Pineapple on pizza?
Do you know what? I always hated it.
Yeah, that's wrong.
But I haven't tried it since I was like 16, so like I want to give it a go. You know, I didn't start liking Marmite till I was like 25. Yeah. So like I'm ready for it, man. Let's do it.
Oh, I bet Marmite on a pizza probably exists somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Oh, that'd be good. That'd be cool. I'm sure that'd be really nice. Yeah, I'm open for anything.
Oh man, you're a crowd pleaser. Let's leave that there. But yeah, thank you so much for giving up your time. I know time is precious when you're a new dad. So yeah, thanks a lot for coming down here. Hope people enjoyed listening to two nerds finishing each other's sentences.
Finishing each other's pizzas.
Yeah, man. Well, I was going to get some pizza in. We were chatting too much. We still could.
Yeah. Oh,
we
yeah.
Still could.
Is it a deep dish or is it a shitty American or a posh trendy?
It's up to you.
Let's find out.
My local posh one is closed on Mondays. It's that posh.
It's not worth opening. Yeah, that's definitely a trendy pizza place. It's not even on Mondays. Yeah. Oh, I like all pizzas. So yeah, but thanks for having me. It's been really fun, and it's nice to do something in person. You can see who you are, and I can see you use my body language. I'm quite, like my body language, and just Zoom I just find a bit sterile, even though it is, it's great. But it's been great to be here and great to talk about music with someone who's really interested and really knowledgeable with the history of modern electronic music. So thank you for educating me, and it's been a pleasure.
You too. Cheers. All right.
So that was Tom's interview with Pizza Hotline. Loved it, man. It's a really interesting couple of guys that you are. And I loved at the end, there was a little nod to the pizza place next to Folklore. Folklore will see Pizza Hotline perform at the end of the year in November at the second Future Sounds event, Double Vision.
Yeah,
and you'll be performing too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've worked up an appetite now through this chat. I'm really, really hungry. But yeah, I'll definitely be hungry at the Future Sounds Double Vision event, because I'm performing as part of Donor Lens, performing as part of Iverson, and as we've teased before, at the end of the evening, I might be called into action again if it's all hands on decks.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, I'm going to be hungry there.
Wait, you're going to be knackered.
Yeah, I know.
You will be hungry. You should get free pizza for those duties.
Well, that Pizza Hotline has got pizza on his rider.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
And Haribo, Enzo Oja. No, I can't wait. It's going to be even bigger and better than the first Future Sounds event. So if you're in London, it's Hackney, right?
Yeah, Hackney, Hoxton area.
Yeah, then people should come down. There's still tickets available, Tom, do you know?
Yeah, there are. And it's November the 12th, I believe.
November the 12th.
So yeah, I mean, hopefully, there's the week before is the Pitchfork event, Clanton, Death Dynamics Crowds,
and I'm there too.
Gemini.
Yeah,
That's
Fabric.
Cool. So yeah, hopefully, if people are planning to travel for that event, stick around for a week, because you're going to get a little Cat System Corp bonus, plus, UK acts at our event. So, stick around. So, we can see, online and from our sort of private chats with the boys, they're having a most amazing time in New York at this Electronicon event. But, we're building something here, and, hopefully building something big enough that we can take overseas as well.
That's the ultimate plan, is it? To do something bigger and better, maybe 23 or 24?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's... If all goes well, and we've got like a nice little format that we can take around, then why not? It's exciting.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. As if Fateman needs any other reason to stretch his lordship title on the flights.
Yeah, I saw he was in posh seats. Posh seats on the flight as well.
Well, do you know why? He convinced Jack Dyson of Space Jam to do this as well.
Yeah.
If you buy a little plot of land, you get rights to, a lord title apparently.
So does he buy a regular plane ticket and frequently get upgraded to fancier seats on account of being a lord?
I don't know if it happens frequently, but he said it's happened before, and then we were talking about it in one of the groups, and then it literally happened. Wow. And there he was in these posh seats. So
jammy.
Get what you like when you're a lord, apparently, or a lady. So there you go. That's the top.
They must be confused what a lord's doing. Buying the sort of economy price tickets.
Yeah. Oh, he's so modest. Oh, he travels so. So let's give him what he deserves.
I don't know. We can't sort of vouch for its effectiveness every time. But if you want to purchase yourself a lordship, then give it a go.
60% of the time works every time. As Paul Rudd, I think, once said. Good on them. When they come back, I'm sure they'll have loads of great content and loads of wicked stories.
The next episode will be that. So I think I might. I don't know about you, but I might duck out of the next episode because I don't know how much I'll be able to contribute.
Yeah, it should just be Enzo and Fateman. They should get Jay in as well.
Yeah, no, they should.
Kid Neon, and just have a whole, dedicated to it. And hopefully they're catching loads of audio.
Yeah,
play to the audiences that won't.
That's my understanding of what the next episode is. So yeah, watch out for that soon.
Oh man. Well, Tom, this has been a pleasure.
Yep,
We've done,
always.
we've done a cheeky little breakaway, and I hope the audience have enjoyed it too. Both our chat and your fantastic interview with Pizza Hotline, which is super interesting.
Lovely speaking to you. Enjoy your holiday.
You too, Tom. Yeah, flying off to France tomorrow.
Lovely stuff. Enjoy.